Welcome one, welcome all. It is Tuesday, December 27th, 2022, 7:02 p.m. Central Standard Time on the dot. It is our last roundtable of the year. Next time we talk to you will be 2023 here on the roundtable. Of course, it's a quick week for the Dallas Cowboys visiting the Tennessee Titans on Thursday Night Football, so we have a lot to get to. And because we have a lot, look, I don't know what's going on here. It's not predictable. It even happened to MTV, whatever the opening credits are, to Full House. We have a very full house here on tonight's Block of the Boys Roundtable, and apparently the memo worked for everyone to wear Cowboys gear. My name's RJ Ochoa, joining me in clockwise order. I mean, I would not want to see Tony right now. I mean, Tony looks rough and tough with the beard. It looks like a thicker beard than usual. Tony Catalina, you can hear and see and read all these people all over Block of the Boys. Tony Catalina, welcome. Sir, a Merry post-belated Christmas to you.
Yeah, you as well, and everybody here too.
Did you get that beanie for Christmas?
I did. I had to wear it. You know, my wife got it for me, so.
All right. Shout out to your better half. Brandon, Loree, a.k.a. B2, you were busy earlier today. Like I said, on the Block of the Boys podcast network, the newest episode of the Riders Block, people can hear your weekly Dallas Cowboys power rankings. That hat is not a new Christmas gift, but did you get some Cowboys paraphernalia for Christmas this year?
Yeah, I got a nice blanket. It's cold here in New Jersey, so it was pretty fitting. I've been warm, wrapped up in Cowboys victories and Cowboys blankets, so it's all good on my end.
You and one of our other panelists were talking about New Jersey before we started. Ted Mosby doesn't acknowledge New Jersey as a real place, so I follow in line with that. Danny Phantom, the opposite side of the country, welcome one. You are not the Nickelodeon character. I don't know if he made an appearance during Christmas Day's broadcast of the Broncos and Rams. Were you aware of Danny Phantom's presence throughout that particular outing, Dan?
No, I was not paying attention, RJ.
Okay. Are you impressed with Mike McCarthy, Dan? No, we'll get to it in a little bit. Don't worry about it. Dave Sturchio is here with us. Another New Jerseyan, New Jerseyite. Sturch, what is the proper term here?
Jersey. You're a Jersey guy.
That seems. What about a Jersey gal, Jersey girl? Like,
yeah, there's a Jersey guy and a Jersey gal. Like, yeah, but I'm not a Jerseyan. That's weird.
I don't think so. I thought he was wearing a jersey, but he's not. Aidan Davis is here. Aidan, I had something stuck in my throat. Plus, I'm emotional seeing you 2 times in a row, Aidan. Look at this.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Got some time off for Christmas break, so of course I'm going to join the boys.
I hope your family of Rams fans is realizing the mistake they made in life by choosing that team and allowing you to choose the Cowboys. Brandon Clements, B1, welcome. You have a really sharp Cowboys. Is it a sweater, a mock? What is this going on here?
So I got this for Christmas. My family knows how much I love the Cowboys. So it's one of those things they found online where it's a Nike logo and it has everybody hates the Cowboys, so Cowboys just hate us.
Okay, well done. Mike Poland, one of our newer members here at Block of the Boys. You know Mike from UK Cowboys, one of my great friends, one of the friends of Cowboys Nation. Mike, you've never been here for a roundtable. It's 1 a.m. I don't want to reveal where you are and dox you to like the people who watch or listen to the show. But you are across the pond. The Premier League is back, so we had to bring you in as well for all the good times.
Yeah, thank you very much, RJ. I'm just returning a favor for all the amount of times you've joined us over here in the UK, and Mrs. Ochoa telling you that you're starting to pick up a British accent. You've been here so much.
That's right. She's happy because I'm happy. Manchester United with the 3-0 win today over Nottingham Forest. Relegate those people. Anyway, we have a lot to get to. We should relegate the Philadelphia Eagles, I think. By the way, Moda says the swoosh never looks better than on Cowboys swag. Brandon 1, you do have a swoosh going on. Howman is joining us in the YouTube comments, not here in person, though. It says +5 to Brandon C for being the only one brave enough to go hatless today. Howman, I don't have a hat on. What's going on? I mean,
you don't count.
Wow. Well, an early start tonight in the point category for B1. Mike, I know this is your first roundtable. There is a winner to every roundtable. It's a super fair and objective process. Would you not agree, Tony Catalina?
Yeah, it's always done right and democratic and perfect. So I got nothing
Tony,
to say.
as we get set to talk Cowboys, Eagles, Titans, everything. A lot of people don't know you run the Madden simulations that appear here on the Blog on the Boys YouTube channel. Do you want to give us a teaser? Because you sent it to me earlier today. So do you want to give us any kind of tease that will drop later on? Obviously, it's a condensed week, as we said.
With Madden, maybe it is kind of what the Cowboys are, but it's never easy. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you what, these Madden sims never go easy. I'll just let that like that.
Tony, how many times you run it?
This one,
I will give Tony a lot of credit. He always gets the uniforms just right for what the matchup's going to be. But so many people got so angry at him because the Cowboys did not announce their bicentennial stripe this year until late in the game. And Tony had already run it. So all the comments were like, you guys didn't even include the stripe. So Tony, you're stupid. But you know who's actually stupid, everybody? The Philadelphia Eagles. Those losers came to town, got beat, had to leave, and now we're hearing all sorts of coping and goalposts moving from Eagles fans all over the internet. Dan Rogers, I want to start with you. One sentence on the Cowboys beating the Eagles. You can expand upon this, but what is your sentence to describe the performance that we saw?
The game was satisfying.
That's the sentence. This is a competition, just to be very clear.
Well, I want to be very plain with my sentence, and that's as plain as I can go. So that's what I was shooting for.
Okay. All right. Mike, get the party going. Mike, what's going on? The game was satisfying? Hell no. Give me one sentence, Mike Pullman.
All right. If I'm going to go for a good sentence, I'm going to say it was a delicious Christmas present before the main event of delicious turkey and eggnog.
You know, not an eggnog guy myself, but you know what? You used the word delicious twice, and for that, I thank
Twice.
you.
I'm going for double deliciousness.
Okay, Brandon Loree, are you going double deliciousness or triple anything?
No. I'm going to say that this team is resilient. Being down 10 points twice, coming back to win. I'm wearing a Marvel t-shirt. They are kind of like the Avengers right now of themselves. So I kind of like what I'm seeing. But yeah, this team is very, very resilient right now.
Aidan, you famously picked the Cowboys to lose last week. It was a big reason why you yourself were a loser on the roundtable. You didn't pick them to lose, but you were way less confident than anybody else. And you were like, I'm just picking what I think is going to happen, guys.
I predicted us to win 41-17.
I don't remember that happening, so we're not going to acknowledge that truth. But so, Aidan, your one sentence on the Cowboys beating the Eagles.
The offense looks unstoppable while the defense is starting to scare me.
Brandon Clements, do you believe the offense is unstoppable? What is your one sentence?
I wouldn't go that far, but they looked pretty darn good. It was a very nice attack. The run game didn't make me very happy, but Dak Prescott led the way in that department on average, so that was nice. The defense, I'm a little nervous about. I think I'm not worried about the pass rush because they are getting there. The pressures are there. It's just that secondary is still making me nervous. But on a bright note, Deron Bland just looks amazing.
Brandon Loree, AJ has given you 5 points for the Marvel references, and Moda has given you double points just for having the shirt on. So everybody went Cowboys, everybody went chalk, but Brandon surprised everybody and came out to an early lead. Tony Catalina, one sentence to describe what the Dallas Cowboys did. You've had a lot of tweets about this. So you've been really flexing, so I'm interested to hear this sentence.
Yeah, it was a needed win for more things than just the score, wins and loss column.
Sturch, I was not going to come to you last, but this was a really slow ramp up here. I mean, there was no screaming or anything. One sentence: the Cowboys beat the Philadelphia Eagles on Saturday, on Christmas Eve, nonetheless. The Eagles wore their black jerseys and everything. It was a big old deal. Sturch, give us a sentence to be proud of.
The Philadelphia Eagle fans are in complete disarray right now. They don't know what is going on. They're banged up. They're blaming this guy. This guy doesn't know coverage. Slay's blaming his safety. It's incredible. We not only won the game, but we pounced on their souls, guys. We really did exactly what I needed them to do, and that's not only just win the football game and gut it out. And hot take number one: Dak Prescott just moved right into my outside of the top 5 in quarterbacks in the NFL.
I don't know that anybody's going to fight you on that. So I don't know that that's
nobody hears me except for maybe Dan.
Well, Dan, you had I guess you were the least impressed.
Oh, got it stuff. Let's go.
The Cowboys flew a little bit close to the sun, but this is a very good team. I mean, they ultimately did what they had to do. They scored on 8 of 9 true possessions. I mean, was that not satisfying enough?
It was satisfying, and there are a lot of things in this game to be happy about. I'm less concerned about the cornerback situation as I was before, which I'll admit I was pretty scared. So I feel better about that. But on the defensive side of the ball, I'm not too pleased, and there's reasons for concern. And I talked about like Minshew and Hurts. I don't think there's a great gap, but we don't win this game with Jalen Hurts if he plays the way the game went down. So I think that I don't think Eagle fans are in disarray at all. I think that they they came out there and put up 440 yards on us, and honestly, it makes me a little bit concerned about when if we see them again. So I'm not throwing a big party about this win. There's some good things, but I mean, I think those are two relatively evenly matched teams, and I'm still worried about Philly. Sorry,
Brandon, you raised your hand. Did you just stretch? I mean, so
no, I've been talking to a few Eagles fans. We have a lot of Eagles fans up in Syracuse, and it's just the constant excuses after excuses. Again, like you said, they're moving the goalpost. It's typical Eagles fan chatter. I'll just say this. So, the Eagles beat Cooper Rush led Cowboys team earlier in the season. We beat a backup quarterback for the Eagles. It really didn't prove anything, but at the end of the day, y'all lost. Move on. Stop whining about it. Just take the loss and move on.
Philly, you put up 40, man.
Philly won the turnover battle against the Cowboys in Week 6 by a margin of +3. Dallas won by a margin of +3 as well this past Saturday. Aidan, do you agree that the Cowboys lose that game if Jalen Hurts is the quarterback for the Eagles?
That's tough because I think that if Jalen Hurts plays for the Eagles,
That's why I wanted to answer.
I don't think the Cowboys put up 40, but I think it would just be a lower scoring game overall. I know that might sound weird. You could project the Eagles to put up 41, 48 with Hurts. But I just think it would have been a slower paced game because the Eagles would have had their ground game going. So then it would have shifted more to what can our defense do to stop Hurts. With that said, 2 of those Minshew picks were not on Minshew. That was just on our defenders being great defenders. So, and the Miles Sanders fumble, I could argue that 3 of those turnovers still happen even with Hurts. I don't know if he necessarily throws the ball to Quez Watkins in those situations, but I'd say we lose, but I don't think, I could easily see that being a win as well.
I think you could argue all 4 turnovers because the Boston Scott one, not necessarily on Minshew either in all, in an outright sense. Tony, Rick, first of all, has congratulated you on making the championship round of the Blogging the Boys Fantasy League. I think that's a stupid comment given that you're facing me. But Tony, so all that aside, where do you fall on this? Are you, wanted to give some grace and extend some love to the Eagles? Yeah, it was close. And Jalen, I don't know. Are you like, hell no, we squashed these bugs?
Yeah, like I don't care about how they feel about it, to be honest with you, because they were doing their whole parade and song and dance about Cooper Rush and, how well they beat Cooper Rush and they were happy and they weren't taking any excuses. So the same thing, you like Sturt said, you put up 40 points in an NFL football game against your least favorite, team in the league. So I'm not going to apologize for winning. I'm not going to apologize out here for doing what you had to do. I am concerned a little bit. I know Danny said that he was less concerned with the secondary and the cornerbacks. I'm a little worried, to be honest with you. If the pass rush isn't going to get home, it's going to expose things that like Nashon Wright and I think Deron Bland is going to be outstanding and he's doing really good things, but there's some things that he could be better at, and even Trayvon Diggs are getting kind of picked on his his tendencies. So overall, I think it's the chicken or the egg situation. Is a team better because of a pass rush? Are they better because of the secondary? We need them both to kind of step up and produce a little bit better, because we all agree this offense is championship caliber offense, and in this defense at one point was a championship caliber defense. If they can get even remotely close to that, I think this team could be really scary moving into the playoffs.
Mike Poland, are you concerned about the Cowboys defense, Cowboys pass rush, any sector of that side of the ball?
It's got to be the secondary, most definitely. Like, I agree with most of what being said. Like the defensive line in terms of like the pressures. I know the sacks aren't there, but sacks, all a sack is a pressure that turns into a tackle. As long as you're getting back there and you're causing mistimed throws, you're getting in the quarterback's face, that's enough. Secondary, that is a problem, but the secondary's down more to anything, to injuries. So that's the biggest concern.
B2, your thoughts here? I mean, are you cool with this? I mean, like, what do you just want to let your homer flag fly? Like, this is an interesting kind of social experiment.
Yeah, I think that the secondary is definitely like top of the list concern. I did enjoy to see that we have versatility, or the Cowboys have versatility with Deron Bland, how as they're trying to shuffle things around, he could play on the outside and in the inside. So I think that that's a great development. But as far as like the overall game itself, I was looking for a signature win all season. I do think that the Vikings game was a complete performance, but we see now the Vikings themselves, they're losing to the Colts early on, letting up 33 points. They kept the Giants until the very end of the game in that matchup. So I don't take the Vikings win as much of a victory for me as I do with this one. I think that going back and forth against the top team in the NFC and in consideration for the top team in the NFL, they brought all their horses on defense. And, Gardner Minshew still had a great performance and everything. And I think that we were expecting that. But they didn't really lose any guys on defense that were coming into this game except for Avonte Maddox leaving. So they had all their horses on defense, and the Cowboys, took it to them. So I think that, to me, was the biggest development overall.
Well said. Okay, so last week was a weird week for the Cowboys. Maybe that's an attributing factor to why the win is a little bit wonky in the eyes of people. But with both teams having clinched, the Jalen Hurts factor, the fact that the Cowboys might see them again, this week is even more weird. The fact that the Tennessee Titans have nothing to play for. The Cowboys technically have something to play for to keep their faint hopes for the division and the 1 seed alive. The Cowboys are 10-point favorites at the time of our streaming this. So that being said, I think we all believe the Cowboys are going to win this game. So let's just kind of operate under that assumption. It's difficult to kind of preview the Titans because, well, again, the week is just insanely awkward. So we were kicking around things to talk about here. And Sturch, I want to start with you. Do you want the Philadelphia Eagles to win this week? Now, besides the what the hell are you talking about-ness of that statement, if the Eagles win, assuming the Cowboys win, that locks the Cowboys into the 5 seed. And that sort of forces the Cowboys to consider whether or not they do want to manufacture their own bye next week of sorts before the wild card round starts. If they don't win, if they were to lose, yes, hope does exist that Dallas could wind up leapfrogging them for the NFC East, but they would have to lose to the Giants. So that being said, Sturch, do you at all see any proponent? You can side against it, but do you see any validity to the idea of Dallas being locked into the 5 seed for the purposes of examining the bigger picture at stake?
No, not at all. Actually, they're not even remotely close. No, you put yourself in a position by beating the Eagles that all of a sudden it's a improbable thing, but it's still, there's a percentage out there that looms that the Eagles are still banged up, that the Saints are still playing for the South, believe it or not, and the Giants at the end of the year, do they really want to get swept by the Eagles heading into the playoffs? So the teams that the Eagles are facing are coming to play. I don't think anybody's sitting. I don't think anybody's resting. And if anybody's resting, the Eagles have already kind of pushed the panic button. Like, oh, Hurts is going to play this week. Don't worry. No. I don't think he plays this week. And I think the Saints actually beat him. So I will never, for just logical purposes, I would never root for the Philadelphia Eagles to win unless they're playing like the Giants or the Washington Commanders where it helps in the division or whatever. But I would never, ever want the Eagles to win a football game. I don't even want them to exist, to be honest with you, but they're there. But overall, no, the Cowboys have put themselves with that win on Christmas Eve. They put themselves in a position to kind of, there's hope out there. I'm not worried about let's get ready for Tampa. What is actually to get ready for? I don't care. It's Tom Brady. Yeah, Tom Brady looks like a fossil lately. Okay, there's always one drive a game where people are like, oh, there he is, right? But why does it take to the end of the fourth or even overtime to even see the real Tom Brady? We don't have to worry about Tom Brady this time around. I promise you guys that. I'm putting the utmost faith in this Dallas defense to get right, whether it be, hosting round 2 and somehow that works out that way, or, they get the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa Bay in the nice, sunny, whatever weather we play in Tampa Bay, and we roll them. Tampa Bay stinks.
Aidan, maybe the better way to verbalize this so nobody kind of is aggressively attacked, but the question is, do you just want the Cowboys to be locked in? Because our comment section is anyone who says yes to this, they lose all their points. So Aidan, you're a pretty logical thinker. We have seen the Cowboys approach these kinds of situations differently. Last year, with everything clinched, they played not to win, but they didn't fully rest all of their starters. Micah Parsons didn't play. Notably, in 2016, the Cowboys kind of took their foot off the gas. In 2014, they played everybody in Washington on the road. 2018, they had nothing to gain in New York. They played everybody. Blake Jarwin, who, by the way, is apparently visiting with the Eagles, caught 3 touchdowns in that game. So, we've seen different things. We've seen it work out, obviously, all negatively. But what would you like to see? And do you want to see the Cowboys, if it comes to that, rest everybody? Because if you do, then I imagine you do want to see the Cowboys locked in as the 5 seed this week.
Yeah, in terms of do I want us to be locked in, I'm not rooting for the Eagles to win. I don't want them to win. And I also don't want to be locked into the 5 seed heading into week 18. But if I'm Mike McCarthy for the next 2 weeks, I'm playing my starters as if we're going to be locked into the 5 seed. That means that this week I'm auto-sitting Tony Pollard. If he's actually dealing with the injury, sit down, Tony. Zeke can handle it. Micah popped up with a hand injury today. Depending on the severity of that, I'm auto-sitting Micah. I'm just saying, listen, guys, we're almost 100% going to be the 5 seed. if you have any type of injury whatsoever, just sit and we'll walk into you get a couple weeks to rest. So am I rooting for the Eagles to win? And am I rooting for us to get locked in the 5 seed? No. But if I'm the Cowboys, I'm treating it like we are automatically going to be the 5 seed, knowing that very likely we're still going to win both games.
B2, you were nodding along. Do you share this sentiment? Are you on Thursday night? Hey, Tony, you know what? Don't even make the trip. Nashville, whatever. They got the music, people singing on the streets. That's it. You don't need to see all this stuff.
Yeah, the thing that I look at also too is like, okay, what are the Titans playing for? And they are a lot more banged up than the Cowboys are right now on their team, and they're playing for Week 18. Like they might even sit a lot of their guys. And
this is preseason for Tennessee in all senses of the word.
Exactly. So I think that, like Aidan mentioned, I agree with what he said about Tony Pollard. Like the thigh issue, it popped up. I'm hearing that it might be a possibility that he sits this game. I'm totally okay with that. I know like 1,000 yards would be great for Tony Pollard, but I'm looking at the bigger picture of, and I know Danny brought this up a few weeks ago, and I need to apologize because I was against it. But now that the way that things kind of played out a little bit, I would not want a scenario where the Cowboys go against the Washington Commanders who are fighting for their lives in the playoffs, and then all of a sudden somebody gets injured along the offensive line. I know they have depth, but again, when we saw Peterson at right tackle or wherever he is, he's, the age is starting to play a factor into his game. So I think that when you're playing a team that's tough, like the defensive line for the Titans, they're a tough team as well, too. I don't want to risk injury. I'd rather, if the Cowboys lose in the wild card round because they're fully healthy, I'd much rather prefer that to say that they gave it their absolute all rather than saying, man, what if Zach Martin played in this game and what it could have been, if only he actually sat for the Tennessee Titans game.
Brandon, you ever put that mojo out there again with Zach Martin's name? I will personally find you. Don't do that.
I know. I'm just
you
saying.
Guys actually did exchange like hometown information. So like Sturch has a fairly strong idea of where you live.
Very true. Very true.
So B2 flying a little bit close to the sun. Danny, Brandon mentioned you and credited you. This was actually one of the topics that you suggested. So I think we're all curious for your thoughts here. Again, forget the Eagles part of it. Like, I know it's hard to say, like, again, Sturch, we all understand your point. Like, we don't want to see the Eagles win, but, the Cowboys could lose then, if you want to put it that way. Do you want to see, Danny, this kind of taken out of Dallas's hands? Because in all likelihood, the NFL would schedule Dallas and Philly at the same time next week, and we'll see what happens with Washington, whether or not they are playing for a playoff spot. But Dallas would have to play that game all the way through scoreboard watching to see what's happening with the Eagles unless they get locked in this week.
Yeah, I think there are a couple dependent factors that will make my decision for me. First off, I wanted to say that, I disagree with Sturch in the sense of the Cowboys have earned this right. I actually think that they have not earned this right because now they put themselves in a position to where it's a little bit awkward. And because of a couple of, 2-score collapses that they've had, things are a lot harder for them. So for me, I think that what's going to make my decision is what happens with New York and Indy. I think we expect the Giants to win there, and if it looks like they do, then I am not going to be sad if the Eagles win. And to answer that question, then I would be fine with being locked into that 5th spot. And it's because I do think, and I'm not worried about Tom Brady as much as I'm worried about what players could get hurt in Week 18. And I think that's very important. And B2, when he was talking, we were all thinking Tyron Smith. I don't know if you were.
What are you guys doing? Saying names? What's wrong with y'all? Chill out.
No, it's super important for us to be ready and to be healthy. And so to me, that's a priority over trying to a long shot. If Week 18 features the Eagles having to win to secure the 1 spot and the Giants resting because they have nothing to play for. I mean, come on, let's just be realistic. That game's not going to mean anything. So that's where my mind is. And I just want what's best for the Cowboys. And I think the easier path is to be ready and rest, work out some of the things that they need to work out, to get this team ready. But for sure, I mean, I'm not sending out any key players out there. I don't want Micah playing, I don't want Dak playing if I'm being honest. So no, yeah, that's, I have no problem with things being locked in at that point.
Sturch.
The only thing I will agree, and I know this is like weird. Me and Phantom agree. I'll agree that like the Giants element is a big one, right? Like, but the problem is the Cowboys are a standalone game right now. You know what I mean? Like, so there will be no like, I wonder what other teams are doing. You know what I mean? Like, they're gonna go out there and I think they can kind of moonwalk backwards blindfolded and win this game. To be honest with you, I think so. Like, you can put a Cooper Rush out there in the second half, and I think we'll be fine, right? But it really does depend on that Giant game, because if the Giants lose and all of a sudden they're in a must-win situation, against the Eagles in week 18 and we have a chance to go beat the Commanders and then win the division, hence the Eagles losing tonight or this week. Like if the Eagles lose this week, we really have to see like what the Giants do, because that's exactly, I was thinking the same thing. I just didn't want to say it because, I don't want the Giants to win either. But if they do lose, that puts a lot of pressure on the Giants that, I understand they're always trying to talk like rebuild and we're just ahead of the rebuild and all that stuff. But the Giants will look at this as a failed season if they had one more game to go and they had to just get one more win to get to the playoffs and the postseason, which would put their entire organization way ahead of a rebuild, right? Then you would start taking them seriously. They want to be taken seriously. I don't think they lose to the Colts, but if they do, it's like a whole nother ballgame, man.
Yeah, I think we're all rooting for the Colts to beat the Giants and the Commanders to actually win and tighten those things up so that Washington maybe takes their foot off the gas a little bit next week and New York feels all the more pressure from what is going on. That's the nirvana if you're a Cowboys fan. First of all, Zachary has atoned. Zachary says RJ feel ashamed for questioning Dak after the early interception. Zachary, it's okay. We forgive you. Mike, you're now not Mike Poland. You're Mike McCarthy. What do you want? Do you want this taken out of your hands? Because that's ultimately what happens here is the decision is somewhat made for Mike McCarthy. Even if you look at a different Mike Vrabel has said this week they're in a similar situation, albeit kind of the opposite direction. They have nothing to play for this week. And Mike Vrabel himself has said, yeah, like that is definitely affecting and impacting the way I'm approaching this because the bigger game happens next week. That would be the case for the Cowboys. So that being said, Mike Poland, what do you want to see if you're Mike McCarthy? Do you want kind of let the cards fall where they may, or do you want this just taken care of and then you react to it, moving on as soon as you can?
Yeah. No, I got a new best friend in Jersey with Sturchio. I'm all about Dallas Cowboys forever, Eagles for never. And basically the way I look at it is it's a case of like a saying we've got over here, he who dares wins. So at this stage, we don't know what the Eagles' destiny is right now. So go out there and play as if it's you're trying to earn that first place in the NFC, because the added bonus to it is you're also trying to play for home field advantage. So if you get that first place, you now face, like for argument's sake, the Bucks will be playing the Eagles. Rather than playing them at their field, they're going to be playing you at yours.
I mean, it's hard to disagree. I didn't know that there was like a budding bromance happening here between you and Sturch. Sturch, do you agree is like the best friend thing mutual, or is this?
I've actually never had my last. I've never had my last name spoken in a British accent, so that was pretty badass. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow. Tony Catalina, you move with the wins, right? You can feel the downs that the Cowboys bring, but then when the ups are there, you're there. I mean, I remember so vividly last year when you were like, "This is all about how much I disrespect the Eagles." So that being said, we've made it through. We are Andy Dufresne. We are almost done crawling through here, and we're out to freedom to the playoffs this year. You can taste freedom, Tony Catalina. Do you want to jeopardize it in any way, shape, or form?
I mean, it's great that we all have opinions on this, and that it's that's what's great about the show.
Shut
but
down,
I'm
Tony.
gonna
Kick their ass. Let's go.
I'm gonna lean towards what Mike McCarthy and them have shown us. If there's any statistical, mathematical possibility that they can advance themselves, they're gonna handle it as such.
Oh.
They're going to. It's just, I mean, that's I can give you my opinion, or that's the truth.
No, Tony, speak, Tony. Keep going.
If they have a chance to get the 1 seed, they're going to handle it like that. They're going to play out there. And that's really kind of how I want it to be. And I was dead against that last year. Sturch turned the tide. We had the whole conversation where I said, I don't care what disrespect about the Eagles. I don't care about beating them. I want to get healthy. They showed us what it looks like. They put up 50 burger when the game didn't matter. The Cowboys, and like you said, there may be something towards that. If you want them to protect themselves, maybe you are rooting for certain things that you wouldn't in normal situations, because you take the situation out of their hands. Week 18 could look like a totally different ball game. But if the chips fall as they may in a way that the Cowboys could advance, they're gonna go balls to the wall. They're not gonna be satisfied with the 5th seed, and they're gonna try to go for 1 as long as it's actually possible.
Brandon Clements. Tony, I think we all agree with his point. If the Eagles lose this week, hell yeah, go for it, right? Whatever. But if they win, right? That's the genesis of this question. If the Eagles win, does it force you to reconsider if you're Mike McCarthy?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, of course it would. and you don't have the luxury of seeing how the Eagles are going to play this weekend because the Cowboys have the Thursday night game. So
yeah,
you
I think we all
in,
play all the way through this week. We're all good there. We're talking about next week in Washington.
Well, that's a whole nother conversation, man.
Yeah,
that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, RJ, to answer your question, I would, let's see how the chips fall this week with the Eagles on this weekend, and if the Eagles pull out the win, then I think it's an easy choice. Obviously, you make week 18 your bye week. You let everybody get a little bit healthy and get ready for the postseason. But if the Eagles stumble, this weekend, then you go for bore and you go for it on week 18 and try to get that one potential 1 seed because. The Cowboys are obviously very good at home. So if they can get a home game in the playoffs, that's never a bad thing. I mean, and to Sturch's point, Tom Brady is looking like a fossil. So I'm not really that concerned about Tom Brady at 45 years old these days. So
Tom Brady.
I don't care if we're playing home away. It's Tom Brady, the fossil, I would say. I'm not too concerned about that. But the 5th seed and the 1 seed, it's two totally different ball games. You just got to wait and see what the Eagles do. I think ideally what I'd like to see for Thursday is with the Titans being so bad, they're trending in the wrong direction. I think hopefully the starters can just crush the Titans at halftime, maybe the third quarter, and then just pull the starters and say, okay, we're gonna let Cooper Rush take us home, and we'll see what happens in Week 18.
All right, I have a different question for everybody. And for the purposes of this question, you have to operate under the assumption that the Eagles win this week. So Dallas is the 5 seed. You know that beyond a shadow of a doubt. All right, that is happening this week. You have time traveled into the multiverse. So appropriately, B2, we will start with you since you're wearing the B2 shirt. That being said, Dallas is locked into the 5 seed. If the Buccaneers win this week at home against the Carolina Panthers, they clinch the NFC South and establish themselves as the 4 seed. So that being said, Brandon, do you want to see the Bucs win this week? Do you want to know now, as soon as possible, that it's going to be the Bucs, or do you want them to lose? Do you want the NFC South to stay in a little bit of chaos? Obviously, that stresses the Bucs out, stresses the Panthers out. Maybe you believe in that side of the argument, or maybe you believe, hey, I don't want to not know. I want to know. Give me as much time as possible. Give me 2 weeks of ramp up time for this game so I can start getting prepared. What would you want to see? Again, you're operating under the assumption that Dallas is locked in here.
Yeah, if I had to rank the NFC South and where I think that I would prefer the Cowboys play them, it would be Bucs number 1, Panthers 2, Saints 3. I want nothing to do with the Superdome in playoff scenario. I don't like that. Even though they're not a great team, that environment I think can bring out the worst for the team, and the whole city rallies around that, especially with how bad they've been. I think the Panthers, they present a big problem with how that they've been running the ball. Out of the past 5 games. Right now, they've won every game that they've rushed for over 185 yards, and they've lost when they've rushed for less than 50. So their last game, they set a franchise record rushing for 320 yards against the Lions team that is fighting for their playoff spot. So it's not like it's a steamrolling team like the Texans. So I look at that, and I look at the Bucs, right? And I see that the Cowboys lost them back-to-back years. And I think that when you're looking to build momentum come playoff time, I think that beating Tom Brady at Tampa Bay will bode well for the Cowboys for the long haul. And also, I think it matters. Like when you're in the playoffs, momentum matters in that situation.
Aidan, sorry, my root beer was stuck in my throat. Everything gets stuck when I'm talking to you, Aidan. Do you want to see the Bucs clinch, or do you want to see the Panthers take it one more week?
No, not in. I don't want the Bucs to clinch because the Bucs are the last team out of that division that I want to play in the first
You're the opposite
round.
End of the spectrum from Brandon.
If you flip Brandon's rankings, I would completely flip Brandon's rankings. I want to play the Saints first, the Panthers second, and then the Bucs third. That would be my ranking.
The Falcons are eliminated, just so in case anyone is curious how we didn't mention them, just so we're clear.
Yeah, because here's my thing. As a 6-8 team, that division is bad. I just want to play the team that is most likely going to the team that is least likely to get hot in the postseason and just have one spectacular boom. They just beat the 11-4 Cowboys. And to me, that team, like the one team that I'm most scared of that happening is the Bucs with Tom Brady.
Plus, if the Saints win the division, they really damage the first-round pick that belongs to the Philadelphia Eagles. So kind of a 2 birds, 1 stone sort of situation there. Tony Catalina, rank them for me. Bucs, Panthers, Saints. Order that you want to play them in.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, for me, I want to play the Bucs, and then I would say the Panthers.
So we got. No, you're with Brandon then.
Yeah. So it would be Bucs, Saints, Panthers. I mean, I'm not worried or afraid of any of them. I understand and respect Tom Brady, and in that situation, I think ultimately, seriously, we have the best situation of any team in the playoff matchup in the wild card, because more than likely we're going to face a team at most with 9 wins with a chance that they could, be below 500. I know it's slim, but I mean, if you're going to tell us that our first round matchup is going to be a shaky NFC South division winner, I'm going to sign up for that, whether it's Tom Brady or not. We saw what they look like against Arizona. I said it on the First and 10 podcast. If it was anybody but Trace McSorley, the Arizona Cardinals are going to win that game, and it probably isn't even close. So it's, I'll take my chances against Tom Brady. And to answer your question more specifically, I want to lock it in. If we're not going to advance to the 1 seed and we're not going to get a first round bye, I want to know who our opponent is. I want to prepare for Tom Brady and have 2 weeks to prepare, because you know what he's going to do. He's going to prepare for us for 2 weeks, and it's going to be a challenge. And but ultimately you're going to have to beat Tom Brady. And if we're afraid of him in the first round, there are better teams and better quarterbacks right now than them at this point.
So you brought up the being afraid thing. Sturch, Kevin took 5 points away from Aidan. Sorry, Aidan. Also, Aidan is with a 2 A's. It's a double A situation. No E in Aidan's name. So Kevin Sturch says, if we can't beat Brady now, we can't beat anyone in the playoffs. Sturch, you're somebody who's like, I want to beat the best. And I'm fine with that line of thought. I don't think speaking for myself, I don't care. Like, I don't have any issue saying I'm afraid of Tom Brady. Like, if the Cowboys won the Super Bowl and in the wild card round, they beat the Sam Darnold Panthers as opposed to the Tom Brady Bucks, like, the Super Bowl ring isn't any less small. The Super Bowl trophy isn't any less shiny. Like, give me the easiest possible path to the title. I'm not here for style points.
Yeah, no, I said it the other day on multiple shows. The easiest path to the title right now would be Tom Brady in the first round. I know it sounds crazy to say because considering of who he is and what he's done, but
so it's not a I want to face the GOAT thing for you.
I want the easiest path.
He's the worst.
No, I want the easiest path because look, I mean, Brandon's like, yeah, the Panthers did this rushing thing, and I'm like, okay, we're not good against the run. Do I really want to deal with that? Like, I don't want to deal with that at all. I want to see Tom Brady, who typically likes to throw the ball regardless of what play's called. I think that he's going to be trying to sling it around, and I think that bodes well for guys like DeRon Bland and stuff like that to step up and make a play, right? So I want Tom Brady. He's the least to think about it like this. I know it's our good friend Andy Dalton down in New Orleans. I don't foresee them winning, but I do see Sam Darnold having the ability to get around. You know what I mean? So at least he can get away from things. Tom Brady can't get away from things. I mean, he's either going to have to get rid of that ball fast or just suffer the consequences when it comes.
But he's very good at, to be fair. But
yeah, no, 100%. And that's and I love Micah, I really do. But I really need him to stop telling reporters it's because they're getting rid of the ball fast. He keeps telling people that he's tipping their cap. Like, yeah, it seems like we can't get to those guys to get rid of the ball fast. And I'm like, Micah, shut up. like stop telling him that.
That's well said. I don't know whose mic is giving us that feedback. We are working on it behind the scenes. So if it's you, please don't do it. I mean, I don't know who that would be. But Danny, Samuel says y'all are acting like Tom Brady didn't whoop us week 1. Danny, did Tom Brady whoop the Cowboys week 1?
I don't know if I would use those terms, but I will say I agree 100% with Aidan. And I think there's one thing that's really important to mention in this whole scenario is we do want the Panthers to beat Tampa this week because it means that everybody's playing for everything next week.
So you want that. You want chaos ensuing. You don't care about having a 2-week advantage of preparing for the Bucks like some of these guys.
Correct. I don't want anybody to be able to rest.
Okay.
And to play on that too is I do not want to see Tampa Bay, and I know they're not playing great, but Tampa Bay, Brady does get the ball out fast. He's very seldom under pressure, and we know that the Cowboys are having some pass rush issues right now. So yeah, Brady is the last person I want to see, in the first round of those teams. I would welcome Carolina and New Orleans for sure. So to me, that is a very easy question. I don't think we even want to tempt fate. We've never beaten Tom Brady. I know it'd be great to put that finally, to check that box, but it would also be great to just not even have to deal with that altogether. So, yeah, no, I'll be fine if we don't see Brady and the Bucks and the wild card game.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, there's a lot of people like, oh, I really want to see Cowboys Eagles 3. I'm good. Like if the 7 seed wants to win and take the Eagles out, fine. Like I won't care at all. I will not be bothered whatsoever. Brandon Clements, do you share that sentiment? Do you feel like who cares? Like nobody cares, Brandon Clements, that the Eagles beat the Case Keenum Vikings in the NFC Championship game when they won the Super Bowl. They won the Super Bowl. Like who cares how you get there?
Exactly. I don't care. I don't care what the road it is to get to the Super Bowl. It doesn't matter to me. And how I would rank the NFC South division, I honestly I wouldn't mind seeing the Panthers because I think Sam Darnold's a bust. He's always been a bust. He was a New York Jet, and they can't draft quarterbacks. So I'm not afraid of him. I'm not really afraid of that running game. I'm not really concerned about the Panthers. And then I would say the Saints because our old friend Andy Dalton, he's still slinging around a little bit. They got Alvin Kamara. They also got that gadget quarterback Taysom Hill. So I mean, they could be a little bit dangerous.
Hey, I just want to interrupt a second. Let's just to recap here. We're debating between Darnold, Dalton, and Tom Brady. So just so that's clear, I want to make sure that's okay. Carry on.
Yes, and obviously, I mean the Bucs. I'm not afraid of any of these teams, but the Bucs. It's Tom Brady. He still has his weapons there in Tampa. That's how I would rank them. But RJ, to your point, I'd rather just see the easiest road possible. I don't care to see the Eagles again, but if it's if it comes down to it and we can knock the Eagles out of the playoffs, I mean that's not a bad way to knock them out. It's always a good thing.
Mike, I have a special question just for you, and we can get a few people's input on it as well. So on the latest episode of the NFC East mixtape, which will drop later on this week on Wednesday afternoon, Brandon Gouton and I discussed the idea of the Green Bay Packers squeaking into the playoffs, which is possible. And yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Like lots of PTSD there. Like I think that's the one none of us have any pride there. Get him out. Like none of us want to even deal with that whatsoever. But Mike, let's say the Packers get in. They're only getting in as the 7th seed. They would be the team if that happened that would travel to Minnesota. It would be both the most Packers and most Vikings thing of all time for Minnesota to have had this wonderful regular season for Aaron Rodgers to come in and ruin it. And then you'd get Aaron Rodgers in the divisional round in Philadelphia. Is there any part of you, Mike Poland, that is kind of rooting for that to let Aaron go do that? Hey, Aaron, go be our mercenary. Go to Philly in the divisional round. We'll go to San Francisco. We don't want to deal with this. Is there any part, or do you not want to jeopardize that? Because if that worked out the way we're envisioning here, then Aaron Rodgers would visit the Cowboys in the NFC Championship game, and we would all lose sleep for a week.
Yeah, I'm not going through that stress again. Thank you very much. But I mean, if I can remember reading something on how the Packers get in. There's quite a list in order for them to make the playoffs. Is that correct?
They've gotten a lot closer. Last weekend worked out very, very nicely for them. And if the Giants and Commanders kind of actually yield the results that we want, that helps them.
Commanders got to lose one game, and the Packers have to win out. And they got Minnesota right now, who is the biggest fraudulent team in the NFL. And then they're going to play the Detroit Lions, probably also on the outside looking in after this week. So the Packers will probably win out. So it's about the Commanders getting at least one win, and it has to come this week. We're gonna.
And that's the weird dichotomy, Mike. Is like the Cowboys could almost let Aaron Rodgers in. If they played a win in Week 18, they could knock Washington off and open the door for Aaron Rodgers to get in. Is there any part of you, again, that would want to let him in if you could play God and let him go to Philly in the divisional round?
No, I really don't. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is the Dallas Cowboys kryptonite. All right, I don't care.
A prisoner of war over there. Like, no, please don't do this.
Yeah, no. I every time when you see the Packers versus the Cowboys, I spend an entire week just like gently sobbing because you look at the roster and you go, that's not a strong roster, but it has Aaron Rodgers, who is the anti-Cowboys, and I don't want to face that again.
Danny.
I did want to say one thing about that, though, as much as I agree with it. Yeah, I don't want any part of Aaron Rodgers either. If he did get in, it would kind of make things a little bit weird in the sense that we would dodge Philly and Rodgers, and Philly wouldn't. So he could actually be in that.
Philly
case.
Wouldn't dodge Philly?
Aaron Rodgers wouldn't. So the Eagles would in fact have to play Aaron Rodgers.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so would you not? Is there any part of you that would not want that? Like, again, let him go do your dirty work for you?
Yeah, no, there's a part of me that no, I don't want it, but if it happens, there's a side benefit to it. Sorry, I missed you saying that, but no, that's a good point you made, RJ.
So what that would set up, and again, all of this is predicated on the Cowboys reaching the NFC Championship game, obviously, which would probably involve a win at San Francisco. Okay, but would you rather, Tony Catalina, would you rather face Aaron Rodgers at home in the NFC Championship game or the Jalen Hurts-led Eagles on the road in the divisional round? What's a scarier proposition to you?
To be honest, I think it's a little scary to face the Eagles. I think the Rodgers has shown leakage this year. I think the Packers have, put up some good games together, but for most of the season, they've been a beatable football team. I'm not going to take the fact that we lost to them in, the circumstances we did and act like I'm afraid of the Packers. I know what the history is, but it's going to get scary at some point if you're going to win a Super Bowl, right? If it's got to be Tom Brady, if it's got to be Aaron Rodgers, whatever that path looks like, you're going to have to take out some Goliaths at some point. And I'd rather get 45-year-old Tom Brady who's screaming and yelling on the sideline and Aaron Rodgers who, is throwing his teammates under the bus every time he gets in front of a microphone. So, yeah, instead of taking the number one team, Jalen Hurts, one of the MVP candidates, if I can avoid that situation, not because I'm afraid of them, but because they're a better path, I'm going to take that road less traveled.
Okay, does anybody disagree? Would anybody rather go to Philly in the divisional round than host the Packers in the title game?
No, in fact, like, think about the drought that we've been dealing with as a fan base and as people who cover the team. Like, you're going to tell me that we can end this whole thing by beating Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers in the same playoffs? Like,
they would sandwich Brock Purdy too. Like, let's be clear about
Purdy's
that.
going to come down to life, come down back to earth too. So yes.
But so, okay,
but look at the teams. Look at the teams. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the 49ers who derailed us last year, and then Aaron Rodgers at home and sending him packing to do all his hallucinogens.
So nobody disagreed with Tony's statement. So then why did everybody disagree with Mike saying, like, I don't want to see this happen? Then you should want to see this happen. You should want to see the Packers pick up the 7th seed. Aidan, you were going to say something.
Well, no, I want to play the Eagles in the second round as opposed to playing Aaron Rodgers. I mean,
in the title game.
Okay, but this is that. Then that second assumption is that the Cowboys do make the title game.
That's the whole hypothetical. Welcome to the roundtable. Like, that's what we're doing. I mean,
okay, so you're giving me the option between a guaranteed NFC Championship versus a guaranteed second round.
Yeah, but the goal is to win the Super Bowl, not to just simply reach the NFC title game.
Breaking news.
Here's the reason that I'm hesitant about this hypothetical where the Packers make it in. I'm not sure that this version of the San Francisco 49ers isn't like they're not significantly less scary than the Eagles to me. Like, I'm pretty intimidated by this 49ers team. So, like, in this hypothetical, like, why not go play the Eagles and
but in
avoid Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs?
In your hypothetical, you might have to play both the Eagles and the Niners. In our hypothetical, you would only have to play one of the two.
See, amigo.
and the Eagles, I believe, as well, have only lost one at home.
That's true.
Commanders.
Plus, I mean, again, if we're like
2 games overall,
if we're looking for like the juiciest, most fun, like, thing that we can create like happiness and content out of, no 7 seed since the NFL expanded to this format has ever won a playoff game. So this would be a Packers team not only winning one because they would advance through the wild card round, but they would beat the Eagles. The Eagles would be a one and done team for the first time ever to a 7 seed. That would have never happened before in the history of the NFL. Wouldn't that be a lot of fun to constantly tweet out B2?
I'm changing my answer. You've convinced me.
The one thing about what Mike said is I've seen enough spy movies where if you, like you said, get the hired assassin in where they double cross. So I don't want to mess with that.
I see what you're doing, the James Bond thing.
Yeah, exactly. I do agree that I would much rather play the 49ers once and then maybe play the 7th seed in the championship versus playing the Eagles and then the 49ers in the championship game. I think, like Aidan said, the 49ers scare me most of all. I think that they have a better defense than what the Eagles have. They're playing a lot like hungrier, like they have something to prove. They're rallying around the young quarterback. And, I think that they are scarier with regards to offensive weapons. I understand, the Eagles are great on wide receiver, but I do think that they win the matchup, at least the 49ers do, with McCaffrey versus Miles Sanders, in my opinion, because McCaffrey's just a whole nother animal. So, I give me the championship game against Aaron Rodgers. Listen, you beat him at home. That's fantastic. You make it to the NFC Championship and lose, like Dave said, Sturch said, you could put that to bed.
To the point, Aidan, again, you were the one who brought up Philly, whatever. The Niners, I think I'm more afraid of the Niners than I am the Eagles. I think we all kind of agree on some level. Sturch, you disagree. I think you're the only one.
I mean, look, I understand they're playing very good football right now. The defense is playing all world. But we're talking about Mr. Irrelevant, 7th round draft pick.
I think that's irrelevant at this point.
It's relevant because he's going to come down back to earth eventually. There's no No scenario in my mind thinks that Brock Purdy is going to be a threat in the playoffs. It's not.
Well, just to Brandon, I know you have a point, but just to like finish this point, Aidan, if we went your way, I know you weren't like a staunch advocate for it. The Cowboys would get this mighty Niners team after a tough imagining game against Philly. So you'd ride into that in a much more weaker state than you would the Packers at home in the title game in the scenario that we're crafting and building here. Brandon, you had a point. Brandon won, that is.
So, I mean, to Sturch's point, I agree. I would, the Eagles, I think, are the more challenging and the more difficult matchup, just solely on the fact that Brock Purdy is the quarterback for the Niners, and then Jalen Hurts is the quarterback for the Eagles. There's a big difference in quality of play at the quarterback position, and for those teams. And that's not anything to take away from Purdy. He's had a good story, but I think he's going to come back to reality sooner rather than later. And here to break it down a little bit further, the Niners and the Eagles, I think, both have very good defenses. They also have a lot of weapons on the offense. But at the end of the day, I think the quarterback position, it tips way in the favor of the Eagles with Jalen Hurts. And I don't want to see Jalen Hurts at all. I'd rather go through the Niners if possible.
Aidan.
Yeah, I want to point out the fact that in my hypothetical, the possibility exists where we're playing the Vikings in the NFC Championship game if they get a fluke win over the Niners. And I would love to play the Vikings for a chance to go to the Super Bowl. And also, Serge, I just want to point out, were you super terrified of Jimmy Garoppolo last year? It's not like this 49ers team revolves around the offense. It revolves around the quarterback position.
Jimmy Garoppolo was molded by one Tom Brady. So, yeah, I was a little bit intimidated by Jimmy Garoppolo, and the guy's a stud.
At the very least, just to kind of land us here, and then we'll get to our last question of the night. If you are afraid of the Eagles, and I don't think like anybody's above admitting the Eagles are a very good team, it would be a very difficult thing for Dallas to win there, especially in the playoffs, blah, 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 blah. If you do want to avoid that and you believe that Aaron Rodgers is capable of that, then you should be rooting for them because Aaron Rodgers would automatically go there because they're only going to be in as the 7th seed. I think, does anybody think that the Lions can go further than the Packers as the 7th seed or the Commanders? Right? Like if you want somebody to do your dirty work, as a Cowboys fan, and your three options are the Packers, the Lions, and the Commanders, who stands the best chance and best opportunity of doing that? Brandon, you raised your hand.
I mean, I think our boy Hallman would say the Lions. I mean, he's like the Lions all year. So
that's cool, but Hallman's not here. I mean, we're talking about like who's got a seat right here right now. Danny, you were nodding. You agree that Aaron Rodgers is sometimes you got to get in bed with the enemy here. Hey, Aaron, go to Philly, bro. They went to Philly. They won the Super Bowl after a playoff win in Philly. That 2010 Eagles team, everybody thought was great with Michael Vick. Tony Catalina, you've been silent. Close this question up for us as we move on.
Yeah, I mean, I like how you proposed it. If Aaron Rodgers go out there and do our dirty work, like you said, I'm totally down for that. I mean, like you said, you mentioned Washington and Detroit. I mean, who's got the spine to do that, right? I think Detroit and Washington, sorry for anybody who may feel differently, they'd just be happy to be there, right? I think them going and making to the playoffs, they're going to be happy with that. I don't think Aaron Rodgers would take that, and I don't think they're a gang, busting team. I don't think they're this outstanding football team. But if you got one night, Aaron Rodgers is behind center, I think he can get it done and do that work for us.
Okay, so we have 2-point leaders at this point in time, and this has been happening a lot. We got a lot of fun activity and action happening here on the roundtable. So we're going to do an old school pick'em. So Tony Catalina, you are our point leader at this point in time. Congratulations to you, sir. Aidan, you are in second place. So the two of you are going to pick people. Tony, you have the first pick, and Aidan, since you have the second pick, you're going to get 4 people on your team. So Tony, give us your first pick.
I'm going to go with my guy, Sturch. Come on now.
Okay, so Tony and Sturch. Aidan, who's your first pick? Actually, I'm going to put you over here, Aidan.
I'm going with Mike.
Okay, so we don't have to move you, Mike. Okay, Tony, this is your last team member. So you're also picking the 2 people who are going to be on Aidan and Mike's team.
I mean, he's saying B2. I'm going to go with B2.
Okay, look at that.
I like
wow. Danny, how do you feel? You were moved the most for the YouTube audience. Like you moved all over the screen.
I feel pretty good. It's always the hat trick versus everyone else. So
coming for your soul.
Okay, that's a bit of a throwback for the like long-standing roundtable winners. Okay, this is a very simple question. So we're gonna have one winner, one team. It's either gonna be Tony, Sturch, and B2, or Aidan, Mike, Brandon, and Danny. That's how we're doing this. All right, Aidan, you got 4 people on your team, even though you went second. So Tony, that means your team goes first. Very simple question. All right. I've lost the thing I'm looking for. Here we go. Where would you rank the Cowboys across the entire playoff field and teams likely to get in? So, like the Giants, I think are likely. And I don't think you think the Giants are better, but still, where do you rank the Cowboys? We kind of went through this exercise right now, who were afraid of whatever, but the Dallas Cowboys are the what best team of all those who have a ticket to the dance. Team Tony.
I mean, I'll go first if you guys are cool with it. And then, obviously,
I want to see some arguing here, by the way, like amongst teams. So, entertain me. That's what I'm here for.
Just for clarity, RJ, do we need to come to consensus or can we have our own opinions?
I just need a team to make me feel good about myself.
Okay.
That's really
all right. Well, when I look
RJ
at
is
this,
the
right,
most intimidating team going into the.
There we go. Sturch knows the game.
I mean, for me, I would put them. I would probably put them as the third best team. I think. I'm looking at the Chiefs.
I need you to tell me who's better. Like, just to be. I'm sure you were going to, but just so everyone knows.
Yeah, I think the Eagles and the Chiefs are the only teams that you could definitely say right now I feel are better than the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, I would take our chances against the Buffalo Bills. I know what they have, and I know they have some talent, but I think the Cowboys can get it done there. But I put the Eagles above. Just that's me trying to be respectful of them and what they've done this year. And you are what your record says you are, and you take that with a grain of salt. But Pat Mahomes is a bad man. He makes things happen. It's crazy. So I'm going to sit here and tell you right now, those are the only two teams that I could honestly say that I think that I would pick them over Dallas. And I think my teammates would agree, and maybe not. We'll see.
We're going to see now. We got to get a little bit of a back and forth. I changed my mind. Aidan, go ahead.
Okay.
Get your team started.
All right. I'm going to say the Cowboys are third. Yes, I'm going to say the Cowboys are third, but in a different way than Tony. And this should encourage fans. I think it goes number 1 Chiefs, number 2 Bills, number 3 Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are currently the best team in the NFC. In the first round, Jalen Hurts is going to be at least a little bit hobbled. We just saw Dak completely expose that defense. And to me, I'm taking an experienced Dak in the playoffs over the Eagles team. The only reason I'm picking the Chiefs and the Bills is if the Cowboys were to go up against those two teams, I think it would be a shootout. I think the final score would be 41-40. And I'd take those other two quarterbacks over Dak in a shootout. So but I'm saying third with the two NFC teams being over the Cowboys.
Let's keep your team rolling. Brandon. Everybody's got to be on their toes, people. This isn't just a normal 1, 2, 3 in order. All right, let's go.
I have to agree with Aidan. I think I got third as well. I was thinking of my list as well, and I put the Bills and Kansas City in that category. I think in the NFC, I'm not afraid. I think the Cowboys are the best in the NFC. That's just how I look at it. I'm not worried about any of those teams. But the Bills and KC are the two teams that I think are really. I think.
Whoa! I don't know what happened here.
Wow, that's impressive.
We're getting crazy.
I don't know if you know what happened, but your screen completely flipped 90 degrees. And does anybody hear Brandon?
And your mic shut off. So
yeah,
clearly that wasn't a good answer. Next,
and it's making me uncomfortable.
Yeah, because I don't know, Brandon, you might need a refresh. Maybe I don't know if you can still hear us, but you might need to exit and come back in. I've never seen that happen before in the history of this platform. Let's go. I'm going to try to buy Brandon a moment here. Danny, what did you have for lunch?
I think what do I have for lunch?
Yeah, I'm trying to buy him a moment here.
I actually had a chicken sandwich for lunch.
Grilled, fried?
It was grilled. Yes.
Okay, toast, sourdough.
Actually, it was on the Hawaiian rolls that we had leftovers for Christmas dinner. So.
Okay, not your first time. I see. Any side chips, fries?
No, just 3 little sliders. That's all.
So 3 sandwiches. You weren't specific about that when you told us. Brandon, I bought you so much time, dude. You are so welcome. In case you were curious, Danny had 3 chicken sliders for lunch, grilled sandwich on Hawaiian rolls that he had left over from Christmas.
He had that all while we were waiting for you to get back.
I was just about to say.
Man, I'm not sure what happened. The internet gremlins got me again, RJ.
Sorry, but finish your point, Brandon, please.
I was just going to say, Aidan made a great point. I think the Bills and Kansas City are the two teams that I would say are better than the Cowboys at this point. I'm not worried about any team in the NFC right now. I think Aidan's on point with that. Bills, KC, and then I have the Cowboys.
B1 to B2. Brandon, you don't have to tell us what you had for lunch, but you do have to tell us where you rank the Cowboys in the playoff field.
I put them third, but I put them at a tie at third with the Bengals, only because I do think that Joe Burrow come postseason. Listen, they were at the Super Bowl last season. I understand that they are a different team, but I do think that they can create some magic again. And listen, we're going to find out which is the better team on Sunday with regards to the Bills and Bengals playing each other. So
Monday, that's Monday night.
Monday. So you have the Chiefs. I do think the Bills are number 2 over the Eagles. The Cowboys beat them, so I put them, ahead of them. And again, common opponent. You're very familiar with them. But yeah, tied for third with the Bengals. The Cowboys are.
Mike, Brandon was the only person to mention the Bengals. We've heard love for the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Eagles, but do you put any team in even close in consideration? Which of these do you rank ahead of the Cowboys?
Okay, Cowboys are second best, and it's a 1A, 1B, and it's between the Cowboys and the Eagles, which I know sounds a bit weird, but what I'm going for is that the Cowboys, their turnover differential is one of the best in the league. Points per game, one of the best in the league. Offense is on the up. Duo running back. Defense, obviously, you're going to get LVE back for the playoffs. By then, we're hoping the defensive back situation sorted. Cowboys, number 2 all day.
Okay. All right. Sturch.
I got the Cowboys at number 2, and I think the only team ahead of them.
Best friends again.
I think the only team ahead of them are the Buffalo Bills. I don't buy into the Chiefs' defense. I don't buy into the Chiefs' running game. I buy into the fact that Josh Allen would be a nightmare because we just can't seem to wrangle any scrambling quarterbacks, and the guy's like their running back. I was actually going to go into this and say Buffalo has no running game, but then I'm like, well, Josh Allen is their running game, so that kind of works out for them when they need it to be. But the Cowboys, if everything clicks based off of what we've seen out of the offense lately and based off of what we saw out of the defense earlier, I mean, look, man, I listen, you know me, I'm a homer in sorts, like where I'm just like, I just want them to win, blah, blah, blah. But like, sometimes I'm realistic and I'm like, I don't know about this team. Like, if they put it all together, man, I truly think that this team could make some noise. And I think the team that could derail them is a team that's searching for a little bit of revenge from 92 and 93. So I think that's the only way this plays out in the best way possible, that it's a potential Dallas Buffalo Super Bowl, and it's digs on digs.
Well, I'm gonna, because this is a team versus team thing, I'm gonna say no to the Bills only because Josh Allen, 13 interceptions on the year, second most.
Kind of a quiet 13 interceptions. Had as many as Matt Ryan. He has as many as Matt Ryan. Nobody cares. He had horrible interceptions in the fourth quarter when they blew a 17-point lead to the Vikings. Nobody cared about that 17-point blown lead. Danny Phantom, the floor is yours.
So first off, I'm going to say that the 2 AFC teams are 1 and 2. I think it's KC and Buffalo in that order. And much to the dismay of my roundtable fate and whatever will happen in the comments, I have the Eagles as number 3. I think that they have a better offensive line. You know, they have a lot of great pieces that work really well for Jalen Hurts. And I think, as much as I hate to say this, they have a coach that has more moxie, you know, someone who's going to go for it on those 4th down plays, you know, and make, you know what, we have to give the Eagles their props. So they have the best record in the league for a reason. So to me, they've earned that. So the Cowboys for me is 4th. And I really think, actually, when I was mapping this out, it was kind of 4A and 4B, because I think the Niners are a good team too. So that's where I have them. I know it's not a popular answer, but you know, there's some really good teams in the NFL. So I don't think that's like anything bad.
This was really good, really fun, really instructive. I take no joy in assigning one team to be the winners and one team to be the losers. It's just those are the rules around here. But something I want to do differently, I actually should have done this last week ahead of Christmas, but I forgot. Everybody gets a singular award, and then we'll, of course, hand out the team prize, team championship. So the best swoosh of the night goes to B1. Brandon Clements, well done. You came in with the best looking swoosh of everybody. So the podcast audience really missed out, but you look sharp. You were going to win the Beat the Internet award, but then I remember the swoosh in the conversation we had. So that goes to you. Congratulations. Our Tried the Hardest award goes to Tony Catalina. Tony, you really just, I thought, brought a really impressive effort. I would have loved to have seen you not take Sturch. You know what I mean? Fly by yourself. You know what I mean? Like first and 10 list, so to speak. But you did try very hard. So I give you full and impressive props for that. The RJ was wrong award, Aidan, I forgot that you predicted the Cowboys to win. So that's on me. Congratulations. I'll eat some crow. The JJ Watt award, just a tough spirited performance, goes to Dave Sturchio on the day that JJ Watt announces his impending retirement from the NFL. The best answer award goes to Mike Poland, who just took it right now. I won't tell y'all who he took it from, but the Josh Allen inclusion was really important. I love Josh Allen as much as the next person, but for whatever reason, the dude dodges and evades any sort of criticism on a national level. The best lunch of the day, I think it's rather obvious, goes to Danny Phantom. Who could beat a grilled chicken on a Hawaiian roll? That's well done. And of course, B2, the Cincinnati award. You're the only person who gave love to the Bengals, really unafraid. And I don't think enough people are giving credit to the Bengals. I think they're going to beat the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football. And I think that nobody will talk about Josh Allen not carrying them in heroic fashion. But the results are in, as you can all see, and Aidan outlasted Tony. So the winners are Aidan, Mike, Brandon, and Danny Phantom. Congratulations, Aidan Davis. What do you have to say? You assembled this team.
Yeah, shout out to my guys. We're playing like Dan Quinn's defense used to play. We're just playing like guys on a mission. And
how would you stack the four of you on the defensive line? Who'd be inside, who'd be outside, and why?
Ooh,
I'm carrying a lot of holiday weight right now.
I have some breaking news, guys. I don't know if you want to hear this, but Aidan has been traded to Riled Up, so he's no longer with just so everybody's clear.
Kevin wants you to know that you were robbed, Tony. I gave you the best answer award, Tony. Did you really feel robbed?
I mean, that was the first time I've been called a tryhard, so.
Wow. Ethan wants you to not retire, Sturch, like JJ Watt today.
Never.
Wow.
Never.
Let's see. B2, this is kind of your territory now. Kevin says that Cincinnati is in trouble. They just lost Lyle Collins. Are you worried for your Bengals?
Yeah, I guess a little bit if that's coming out. But no, I think Joe Burrow again. I mean, he's Joe Shiesty, as people like.
Oh, cool, man! Don't lose in December.
Yeah.
Aidan, Johnny Boy says that 1st and 10 is looking like 3rd and 6 right now. Do you feel a little bit better than the other guys right now from 1st and 10? You should.
Well, if it's 3rd and 6, we know that it's going to be a conversion if you're playing against the Cowboys defense.
3rd and 30.
Aidan, you just won, dude. Like
3rd and 30, my man.
Yeah. Wow. Danny Phantom, you were on the winning team despite that answer at the end that, you landed the plane. Do you feel responsible? Do you feel like you were carried? Like, what's your take here?
You know what? I feel like, I did my part. We're a team. I feel kind of like the hat trick. Maybe they might have been resting their guys this week, in preparation for next week. I don't know.
Kevin asked who gets the 3rd and 30 award, and I'm going to go ahead and say that Aidan does. Aidan gets the award because I was wrong. Aidan overcame that. Like, I buried Aidan and he survived. So well done, Aidan. You won 2 awards tonight. In fact, Aidan, as the leader of the team, you get to pick somebody from the losing team to make a random noise as we leave. And then you get to pick who on your team you want to pick the noise. Does that make sense? So you're going to pick the person on the losing team that has to make the random noise. And then of your 3 winning teammates, pick one of them to pick what that noise is going to be.
I just got to hear it. Sturch, and let's say that I want to hear Sturch make a noise.
Whoa.
And
so who gets to pick the noise?
So wait, RJ employs you here. I'm about to give you another opportunity with Chop, and you're going to pick me right now? Where B2 is just sitting there waiting in the wings?
He's fully left 1st and 10. He's just all the way out. He's full heel at this point.
That's a good point, Aidan. If I were you, I would let you have me pick him.
Yeah, okay. I'll have some mercy on Sturch. I'll let Mike choose it because they just formed this new bond. So I'm not going to let Danny assign the sound.
Mike, just so you're aware, because we do this all the time here. Somebody, normally Tony has to make a random noise. We would like it to be truly random. A lot of people be like, oh, make a duck noise. Like, no, like we don't want chalk. Like we want something that is going to challenge Sturch, something that's going to bring all of us great tidings and joy. So what is your noise selection and why?
Because it is the holiday period, I'm going to say jingle bells.
Just the sound of the bells, or you want to hear the song? Okay.
Either. I'll let Sturch decide whether it's the song, a rap, or the sound. You're on the spot now.
No, I got this. I'm going to do it.
You
I'm
gonna
gonna
do
do it
the
in my
song or the?
I'm
or
gonna do
the-
it in my best New Jersey way I could possibly do it. All right. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to run in a one-horse open sleigh. That's it. Done.
That's how it's done, Tony Catalina.